can stop for just a minute. I think people are about to make some remarks here on Rampart Street.
Yeah.
We're outside the Channel 4 studios where Eric has really just taken the helm every single morning for 40 years. And I think this has been such an incredible outpouring and celebration of his life. We have these awesome handkerchiefs that we've been using to second line. 3 of Eric's faces on them, which is appropriate if anybody knows Eric.
I said if Eric were around when I saw the handkerchiefs, and of course our morning crew, they're walking around down there. They had shirts that were made. Anything with Eric's face on it, he would absolutely love it, and he would relish in the fact that everyone is waving his face around. And the fact that he has all of these people that came out from the community to celebrate him. I mean, take a look at the street. I mean, everyone has stopped in front of the WWL studios. I was told that Bethany Paulsen is here as well. She is in front and witnessing the celebration and how much people loved her husband.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is where the two of them met, and Eric has talked many times about the fact that Bethany was a studio camera operator, and he fell in love, and she was the love of his life. And so this is just an incredible tribute to him and to Bethany and their love not only of each other, but of this city, of Channel 4, of WWL TV, and of music and the culture and the food in this community. I mean, this is Eric Paulsen brought to life.
I love it. Look, if you look around the streets, even just down the streets, people are walking up and they're dancing.
They're dancing.
I'm sweating a little bit if I look a little crazy here because I just couldn't help it. Earlier, the Roots of Music played a moving tribute playing I Miss You, and then, of course, followed by the brass band. So there were tears, and then there was laughter, and then there was dancing. And now, right now, as second lines always do, it picks up, and it's going to keep moving. I think they're going back to Tuba Fats Square, if I'm not mistaken.
They are. That is where they're scheduled to go. You know how these things go with second lines. But, you know, Charisse, you just described my essential roller coaster ride of emotions over the last few days after we found out that Eric had passed on Sunday morning. And it has been tears, it has been laughter, it has been a feeling of this is not real. It feels like it's not real. I expect him to come to work in a couple of days, like he was been on vacation or something.
I would never tell Eric this. I would never tell him this to his face. But I remember when I was a desk assistant many years ago, my first stint here at WWL, when I was just answering phones and running scripts in and rolling prompter. I wanted so badly to impress Eric Paulsen. And I wanted him to like me so badly, and Sally Ann Roberts, because these people were larger than life to me. Right now, I'm being told that Bethany is on camera. She's downstairs in front of the WWL studios.
I imagine it's been tough.
It has been, she is amazing. She's a wonderful woman. They were so in love with each other, and every opportunity he got the chance to talk about Bethany, he always did. He mentioned her, actually talked a great deal about her when he was recently honored at the Press Club Awards of New Orleans, and saying that he met her at the station, and she was an incredibly strong woman, and he loved that so much, so he married her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody who can take on Eric Paulsen on a regular basis has to be a pretty strong woman, and Bethany's incredible. She's so wonderful, and
she is.
You know, our hearts go out to her and their entire family. It has to be an incredibly difficult time for them. Of course, we know Eric's illness was short, and I feel like he really fought a courageous battle, and it was so quick. I think a lot of people didn't expect this to happen this soon, and we wish that he was still with us a little bit longer.
Well, all of us, anyone who suffers from any sort of ailment, especially dealing with cancer, know that it is a very unforgiving illness, and it could be easily treated, and sometimes it can quickly take over the body. But Eric, if all of us spoke with Eric throughout his battle with cancer, and he was determined.
He really was.
Beat this. There was not a second in this fight where he had even given up. He had not thrown in the towel at all.
No, I think that anyone would say that he had more life to live and more adventures to take with Bethany and with Emmett, their young son, who is one of his 3 children that are surviving him today. And there were a lot more adventures I know that they wanted to take, more memories they wanted to make, and unfortunately that was taken away from them far too soon. And I think all of us feel that way at Channel 4 too. I mean, I feel like there are so many more broadcasts that I wanted to do with him, and more hurricanes to cover and more Mardi Gras to celebrate.
I remember When we covered Hurricane Ida, Eric shooting me a text because obviously we're working 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, where are you? I'm ready to go home.
Right.
Well, look, we want to continue our coverage, obviously, spending all of this time honoring someone who is so worthy of it, Eric Paulsen, our colleague and a friend of ours and family for a lot of us, who passed away this past Saturday. We want to go over to Meg Ferris now, who continues our coverage of this big celebration that just went on past North Rampart and went past the WWL studios, Meg.
Katie and Sharice, we are looking from here at the starting part to what's happening in front of Channel 4 studios, and it is just overwhelming. I'm getting text messages. I'm getting people like the Dixie Cups, Barbara Hawkins of the Dixie Cups. She's out of town. I think she said she was in New York, and she said, save me your handkerchief. You have no idea how much Eric did for the Dixie Cups. And all the people here at the starting point, North Robinson and St. Philip, who are just coming up and saying that Eric did so much for the community and they feel like he was family. And it's just so genuine and sincere, and they're not at a second line for a newscaster. They're at a second line for a close family member, and they feel that they're related to all of us, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm overwhelmed. People coming up saying to thank me, but to tell me to thank all of you for what we do for the community every day when we just do our job. So I know I'm a little emotional, but I am overwhelmed with the love and the outpouring of people just saying thank you. Of course, Eric's wife, I saw her, Bethany, Helena Moreno was here, Arthel Neville, who used to work on Channel 4, who of course is the daughter of one of the famous Nevilles. She was here. I mean, the people who have come out, it's kind of been a who's who, but there's one lady who left after Katrina and moved to Oakland, California, and she came in for this, and I'm just, I don't know, I'm blown away by the appreciation of the people out there here in the city who are part of our family, who are just so appreciative. So the band did come back here to the starting point, and I bet this party goes well into the night. I asked one of the NOPD officers, I'm a bad estimate of crowd numbers. Give me an idea. And she said, I'm a bad estimate too, but it's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. So I just think Eric would absolutely love this. But I will tell you something else. This is interesting to me. People have been mailing cards since Eric announced that he had cancer. They've been mailing cards, a quilt even, all these notes and everything to Eric, and I've been collecting them, and I made sure that I got them to him. And he and Bethany were reading through all the cards. So I want to let our viewers know that Eric has seen your cards. And Eric, who we always tease about, you know, having a big head and all the jokes we have about Eric, he was overwhelmed and shocked that people would actually care and send a card about him. So that part of Eric surprised me too. But I do want to let our viewers know that we have passed every one of those cards on to him, and there's a few that have come in since then. I have them all ready to give to Bethany, and she is just loving them. And I know his son, who's only 8 years old, will really appreciate reading those one day, what all of the viewers are just saying how much they loved his dad. So this has just been amazing. And I'm sure what y'all saw was amazing, absolutely amazing too. So I don't know, I'm just grateful, very grateful. Reporting live from the Treme, Meg Ferris, WWL Louisiana, back to you.
I know, Meg, it is difficult. I have been fighting back tears for about 2 hours now.
Yes.
It is unbelievable. I know Meg has known Eric longer than any of us, and she has known all the quirks of Eric Paulsen. Eric Paulsen as a single man, Eric Paulsen as a married man, Eric Paulsen when he was young, and you know, all the things. And you know, I've been lucky enough to work with him for about 18 years. It's not long enough, I would say. But the outpouring that we have seen tonight is just something that would make him proud, and I know that, and I can say that with 100% certainty, that he would be so proud and so happy. And it's just really incredible to see.
It's an emotional day for a lot of us. It's been an emotional couple of days for a lot of us because each day that goes by, it sinks into the reality of what's happened and who we're without. All of us loved Eric. All of us have gotten into it with Eric. All of us have laughed with Eric.
Yes, to all the things. Yes.
Oh, it has been like we've run the gamut of emotions with Eric, but at the end of the day, you loved him, and you couldn't imagine this station without him, and I still cannot imagine this station without him.
No, it really does seem surreal, and you know, it's really unfortunate that our younger reporters aren't going to get more time with them, and one of those is Alyssa Curtis. She's been covering this incredible second line for Eric tonight for us in the crowd. Alyssa, where are you now?
We are heading back to the starting point. We're heading back to the starting point. We're on Ursuline and Treme, so we're heading. But I wanted to mention something. You guys talked about how, you know, some of us reporters wish we would have had gotten more time with him, and I am one of those. I've worked here now for 2 years, and I filled in a few times in the morning show, and sometimes we would cross paths, and Eric was just the absolute best. To be able to work with him, even just those few times, meant the world to me, and I know to the other reporters at this station. And this outpouring of love is so heartwarming, it's so overwhelming, and it's beautiful to see. The party is still going on. I think it's going to go well past when we head back to the starting point. That's just, again, a little bit, a small glimpse into what we've been hearing, not just today, but in the days since Eric passed. So many people loved Eric and still love Eric, and that love is not going to go away. If I learned anything tonight, is that Eric's legacy, Eric's impact, Eric's love for this city will go far beyond his passing. I think people will be telling their children and their grandchildren about Eric Paulsen for generations to come, because a lot of people, especially today, we're talking about, sometimes people don't know, or sometimes people forget that Eric was not born in New Orleans, and it's shocking. It's shocking to some people because he loved this city like it was his own, and they loved him back. They say if you love New Orleans, it'll love you right back, and that's exactly what happened with Eric and his life and his legacy here in New Orleans and at Channel 4. Just look at this, guys. There are, Meg said hundreds upon hundreds. I wouldn't even be shocked if there was like 1,000 people out here. And again, I haven't been able to go more than 10 steps without hearing, Eric, we love you. Eric was the best. Eric made me laugh in the morning. Eric came into my restaurant, and we had this interaction, and it's amazing to hear. It's so heartwarming, and I know it goes a long way for us at Channel 4. I'm sure it goes a long way to hear those amazing stories for his family. Again, a lot of people have just talked about how shocking his passing is, and it is really shocking, but this love is so felt from the community, and he, I know, is dancing in heaven right now. He is having the best time looking down at this. This is exactly what he would want. I said earlier, right when we were starting, there's a barbecue on 2 blocks and there's a bar on the other 2. And if you know Eric, you know he loved food, he loved the culture, he loved music. So this is such a great way to celebrate his life. We've been saying over the past few days, live like Eric, and this is exactly what Eric would have done. He would have danced the night away. He would have listened to some music. He would have been in the streets dancing with us, and this is just amazing. I don't know about you guys, my feet are hurting, but I don't even care because this is so much fun. I don't know how far else we're gonna go because it seems like the crowd is not dissipating at all. But again, this is just so amazing. I've had the biggest smile on my face, and even though it's been an emotional few days, we have been laughing and dancing through the pain and through the mourning. Yes.
We love our Eric. We love him to death.
Absolutely.
And he literally worked to his death.
Yes.
And that was the tenacity people love. It was that connection with the female reporters. It goes way back to Andre Trevine.
Absolutely.
We grew up on Eric. I'm 58, but I saw Eric when I was 7.
Yeah.
So can you imagine?
Absolutely.
What a loss. And it's going to be a really grave loss for this city. Such an icon.
Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that. And he is absolutely correct. What an icon, what a legend, what a giant Eric was. And this was the absolute perfect way to celebrate his life. We're heading back now to the starting point of this second line. So I'm gonna throw it back to you guys. We're gonna keep dancing, I think, in the streets. But for now, reporting in Treme, Alyssa Curtis, WWL Louisiana.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Rampart Street, and the second line just past this area. And I want to say, you can't really see it right now. I don't know if Rick Neese, our photographer, can get a shot, but if you look down by the Channel 4 studios outside the front doors of Rampart Street, she says she can't get a shot. All you can see is really that tree. But what I can see is that many members of our Channel 4 family are gathered out there, and I'm sure they're sharing some of their Eric stories. I saw Dominic Massa, Bethany, his widow now was joining them, Arthel Neville, who was very close to Eric. And, you know, she basically became a celebrity as he was, you know, anchoring the morning news. We did hear from Aaron Neville even. He called and left a message at the station to talk about how much Eric had an impact on him. We know Eric always hosted Jazz Fest. I mean, he was very close with Quint Davis, who's the organizer and producer of Jazz Fest. And so every year Eric was out there hosting some of the stages.
Eric was, when I tell you he's baked into the culture of New Orleans, Eric had a little bit of a hand in everything. If it had anything to do with food, music, or culture, you likely saw him there. I was invited for the first time to the Jazz Museum's gala that Eric had a hand in hosting. Almost every year they hosted a stage. And it was my first time going there, and Eric was the guy. Of course. Everybody knew when he came on stage, everyone wanted a picture, even I wanted a picture. we
were like, wait, I work with you. Why am I getting a picture?
But you know, Eric. But it's because it's Eric, and like everyone says, and you will hear this story all the time from everyone you speak to. I've grown up watching Eric. I remember Eric and Andre Trevine. Actually, before I even considered a career in journalism, my parents would always tell me about the legendary fights between Eric and Andre Trevine, two amazing people who now we've both lost.
Yes, lost both of them. You know, I put together a little story earlier this week about Eric's career, and it truly was the thing that legends were made of. But one of the things that struck me so much is that he did a story memorializing Andre when she passed away about 10 years ago, and it was so moving to hear him talk about what close friends they actually were, even though they would spar on TV, and they both said that was their spark. They had this chemistry and they had this spark, and it was that Andre would not put up with his stuff. And so she said, I wouldn't put up with it. I wouldn't take Eric's stuff. And so that's what made them so great.
I mean, and honestly, if you look at the women that are in Eric's life, even with Sally Ann Roberts and Sheba Turk, everyone that has worked with him, Bethany, who married him, he always said that these were people that I was drawn to. They were strong women. Even our news director, Nicole Wavers, he talked about all of this. When he just accepted the Press Club of New Orleans Lifetime Achievement Award, that strong women, where he was surrounded by it, and he credits the strong women that were around him for his success. And let me tell you, at that award, he was actually so emotional. I think it was the first time that he had ever gotten that award. And he has, if you look at all of the stories that we've done and the stories that people have told us, things that we didn't even know about, he ran the gamut. He was overseas. You know, everyone remembers, and I don't, unfortunately, because it was before my time. PM Magazine. Everyone remembers PM Magazine. Everyone remembers whenever he's covering a story and the music scene, sitting down with a chef, or doing anything that's in the crowd, anything to do with culture. But while we're out here, you probably hear a lot of people. The traffic is starting to move right now, but there's still a lot of people that are right now in front. They've come out of the street and they're in front of the Channel 4 studios, and everyone is sharing stories and laughing and celebrating, and also just supporting and being there for each other. Because honestly, it's been a whirlwind, and I think that every time someone asks one of us, are we okay, or how we're doing, tears start to well up, because you don't realize how impactful someone like Eric was, and until you lose them.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us expected to be saying goodbye this soon. I don't think any of us did. I mean, Eric was 23 going on 74, or however old he was. We won't actually, if that's not the right number, we'll just pretend I didn't say that, because I know he would not want me to say his age on television. But
I think we just all found out what the age was.
What his actual age is.
Yeah,
right.
We never mentioned it.
Right. You know, Rob Nelson, just things that people would tease him all the time. Rob Nelson, one of the former co-anchors who went on to ABC News from WWL. So funny, he would always tease Eric about his hair color.
Oh my!
Because he had a different hair color all the time, according to Rob Nelson. It was really funny. But there were all these things that people had with Eric, all these little jokes. Clancy Dubose talking about how Eric would always start a fight with him anytime he was on the morning show, because Eric was very opinionated, and his opinions were very strong and very well informed, but he had a very distinct idea of what he thought was needed to fix the things that ailed his city, and he was not shy about telling you about it.
He wasn't easily influenced. He always thought for himself, and that's from the beginning of his career, and even moving on throughout his career. He always had his own opinions, his own thoughts, and if you had an opinion that differed from his, he'd tell you, well, I'm right. And you're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why I'm right. He's going to break it down for you. So trust me, these are not uneducated opinions. He certainly knows exactly what he's talking about. But I tell you, one of my really great Eric stories, showing up to the station, since we're all sharing stories, showing up to the station one day, I am a relative of the late great Dave Bartholomew, who was my grandmother's cousin. And Dave came on the show one day, and I walked up to Dave and I told him that, I shared how we were related. He hugged me and his son hugged me, and we talked, and I just knew I had brownie points because Dave went over to Eric and said, "That's my little cousin over there." and I said, "I got him." Yes, Eric finally, I made the Eric Club. I'm part of the gang now.
Yeah. I mean, he knew everybody. He loved telling everyone about it. And, it was great hearing the stories. I mean, when we hear from him, I remember I had to cover the late Al Copeland's funeral. That was a spectacle. I mean, it really was. It was very fitting for Al Copeland and the larger-than-life character that he was. And Eric was emceeing the funeral and giving one of the eulogies for Al Copeland, and I had no idea it was because Eric talked him into bringing him to a villa that was overseas on a private jet, and Eric had talked his way into that, and they were lifelong friends ever since. And so their connection really started from Eric's job here at WWL TV, but it stretched well beyond that, and I think a lot of people felt that way about him.
One of the things I loved about him, we used to always, when I was doing the crew of Barkus, he said that I like to ask for permission. I'll apologize later. But look, Eric, I will tell you this, we miss you. We love you so much. And I know that so many people, if you see that show of love here, it's been wonderful.
It has been just incredible. And we want to thank you all for joining us for our mourning, for our celebration of Eric Paulsen's life. You can always watch more about him on WWL Plus. But for now, we're going to leave you with that. Don't forget our